what is going on, all you wonderful, beautiful people of Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and all other outlets. This is the Ask Unique Events show. Tell a friend, tell a family member, shout it from the rooftops. We are here to help you. We are here to provide you as much content as we can and get you excited and get you this level of trust that your event is going to be awesome. And that's going to kind of segue into the topics for this show, which are kind of two main subjects. One is how to have a successful event, how to have a packed dance floor, more precisely. And two, the benefits of ending on a high note. And with that, my man here, Travis, take us away.
All right, perfect. So really, in the progression of things happening throughout the night, the dance is really the last thing that happens. So two of the big things that we encourage people to really concentrate on and come up with a plan for happen before the dance starts. But it involves getting your guest to the dance floor portion of the night in the best possible mood and having a great time, as opposed to having your guests get to the dance portion and they're bored and annoyed and frustrated and then expecting a miracle that the DJ is going to play a few songs and all of a sudden these people are going to pop back into having a great time and want to party and drink and stay all night. So the first two things I always encourage people to spend some time on are figuring out a plan for socializing.
And there's a blog for that.
That's a whole different blog. We'll have one that's just why it's, strategies for socializing and why it's important to have that plan, but also the transitioning, which is keeping the whole event moving. So those two things combined do a couple things. They basically eliminate a lot of the obligatory, I call them the obligatory hellos. It's all the people you feel like you have to talk to but aren't necessarily super pumped about having to talk to them over the course of the evening, but you want to get it done because you don't want to feel rude and all that. But it eliminates a lot of the obligatory hellos, eliminates a lot of the just obligation in general, the socializing that people in their mind they're envisioning they get it done, but usually if we ask them, when do you want to socialize, when are you going to talk to people, they end up saying, I don't know, we've got, once the dance starts we'll probably go around and socialize a little bit and then we'll go do this and whatever. And that the dance portion of the night, if that was kind of your thought is we'll just kind of do it whenever, that almost by default ends up being during the dance portion, and that keeps our couples off the dance floor. When they're not out on the dance floor, there's less people out there. You guys are a catalyst for getting the biggest groups of people out on the dance floor. So when we can't pull you away from the social aspect of things, it becomes difficult to get these huge dance floors that people are usually envisioning when they hire a DJ to come run their party. So coming up with a plan for socializing is a huge deal, and then the transitioning aspect. When we create the blog for that, it's going to break down in a lot more detail, but it's essentially taking the responsibility of running your actual event out of your hands and kind of putting it into our hands. And by ours, I mean it takes us, and it also takes cooperation on the part of the couple to keep these things moving. But it's really eliminating a lot of the stress and background stuff, taking it off of your guys' plate so you don't have to worry as much about that, and you can focus more on enjoying the day. Everybody says the day goes by so fast and all this, and it does, but you don't want to have to be running your own event while at the same time you're trying to enjoy it. So we'll break down all of that stuff as well, but those two things are a big part of creating a successful dance floor, and I'll let Riley talk a little bit about once that dance floor starts, some of the tips to help set you up for success there.
Yeah, really. I mean, great points. Great points, Travis.
Thank you.
Kind of sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. But it's pretty simple. As a couple, you guys should define yourself as magnets. You really are. Whether you have 85 people that you're inviting or 625 people or anywhere in between, you are magnets. Wherever you are at physically in the ballroom or reception area, that is where the energy level is going to be. That's where your guests are going to want to be. If you're up at the bar, the majority of your guests are going to be at the bar because they want to high-five you and pictures and all these different things that are great. If you aren't big dancers, yet you're social butterflies and you have this venue that has an outdoor space and you want to be out there smoking cigars, taking shots, hanging out with buddies, and there's a dance going on, do not expect the main energy, that nucleus of the party, to be inside. It's going to be out where you guys are at. So for couples that come in and they say, oh, Riley, I just want people to drink and dance and have a great time and celebrate. Perfect, so do we. But those are the things that we need to talk about as far as how can we make that happen. Playing the popular songs and your must plays, that's a great catalyst, but we also need you a part of that. We need you to integrate yourselves fully into that dance floor, and that's where we can start to really work the magic of keeping people there dancing and celebrating all these things that you have envisioned. But if you're not a part of that, it makes it difficult, if not impossible, to really get that to the next level. So,
yeah, and and there's having you out on the dance floor, I tell people, as a guest at somebody else's wedding, if you've been a guest at one that was like, it was a great dance party, a huge dance party, if you think back to that, 90% of the time, the one or both of the couple was out there most of that dance. And the ones that weren't, there weren't a lot of people dancing, or it was kind of boring, or you left early or whatever, usually the couple wasn't out there dancing by themselves. It's, if they're over at the bar and it's social, which is fine. We have customers that aren't going to dance, and that's okay. But don't expect miracles if you're not dancing, that we're going to have this massive dance floor all night. We'll probably have people dancing, but it's tougher to get the huge crowd, because some people are coming out because they love that song. Some people are coming out only because the couple's out there, like, oh, the groom came out, he never dances, let's go dance with him. And the song is, for them, is secondary to why they're out there. So that's why when we have you guys out there, we have the biggest floor, because it's a combination of those two groups of people. So so I'll have Riley talk a little bit more about the music aspect of this, and your guys's, and how your guys' preferences tie into our ability to make people dance as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a blog that I think it's maybe a couple weeks old that's all about music and not stressing yourself out over creating 50 must-play songs, or just trusting your DJ, I think is the overall premise of that. But we want to make sure that we're on the same page and that we're on the same team, and that is so crucial to the outcome of making not only a wedding reception a great one, but a successful one. And that's what takes the work, and why we encourage these in-person consultations, so we can get a feel for what you're wanting. And I can tell you, within my 11 years of DJing and the 4 other individuals that are with us, if they think back to some of the most, again, successful wedding receptions they've had, when we brag about how many people were on the dance floor, the common components were the couple being out there celebrating. I mean, you guys hold the keys to the outcome, right in your hands. So don't ever underestimate the power that you have. So we'll talk all about music, and we'll figure out kind of what you guys want.
So lastly, ending on a high note is something that we talk with people about as well. And this starts to tie into how many hours you book us for and things like that. But I always recommend people book enough time with their DJ or with us initially to give you about 3 hours worth of dancing. I personally will DJ 2, maybe 3 weddings a year personally that they will dance for 5 hours or more. Usually it's in that 3 to 4 hour range. But so book what you're going to use, and then just add time on at the end of the night. With us, that is the same cost regardless. With some companies, it'll cost extra, but don't pay for more time than what you're going to use. So ending on a high note to me is your guest leaving on a high energy part of the night. I think your guests are going to leave for one of 3 reasons, and they're going to remember the last thing from when they left. So they're going to leave because they got too drunk, they finally got bored, or you ended the party. And if you end the party when there's, envision, there's 70, 80 people there on the dance floor, and we say, this is gonna be our last song of the night, come on out, dance with a couple, whatever. And we play, a song, it could be a sing-along song, like Sweet Caroline or something like that, or it could be, something that's real high energy, like, Jump Around, House of Pain or something like that. But when everybody's out there and it's just, dance floor's completely packed, they're rolling off the floor onto the carpet, because there's so many people, and then we end, and that's the last thing they remember. That's the takeaway from your wedding for them, versus they stayed another hour and then another hour because we already paid the DJ, and they got hammered at the bar, and all these different things. To me, ending, there's something to be said for ending on a high note, because it's what your people remember, and that's what I would want personally my event to be remembered for, I guess, is that all these people were there and it was just crazy party, blah, blah, blah. And it never got to the point that people were like, oh, but I ended up like in the bathroom at the hotel, passed out,
people left,
or and especially if you're hosting your own bar, if you're hosting beer and wine, and to me, there's no sense in just, by the time that 3 to 4 hour range is up, people are just getting like ugly wasted,
We've
you
seen
know,
about
like
everything,
beyond
yeah.
like fun wasted type thing where it's just running up your bar tab the whole time too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the type of stuff I guess I have in mind when I encourage people to end on a high note. Maybe Riley has something different.
I would agree 100%. You know, there's a sweet spot of the night where I think, you know, my inner monologue when I'm DJing is, oh man, Rick, right now would be the perfect time to end it. And it's certainly not us trying to get out of there by any means. We give you the option. We'll be there till 4 in the morning if you want us to be, or whenever the venue kicks us out. I know some wineries, they have a hard stop where there's nothing past 10:30, there's nothing past 11. There's some venues where midnight is the cutoff, where you have all your stuff out of there. So there's kind of mandated dictative factors as far as like when you have to be out of there. But, you know, as a company, like Travis said, we give you the option. We have an initial contract that we try to make as efficient as possible, leading us into that 3 hours of dancing, whatever it ends up being. You know, if 3 hours was the perfect amount, then beautiful. We can organize and execute that end time where your guests, in their minds, it made sense. And if you want to go an extra 30 minutes, an extra hour and a half, that's kind of nice, just based on the fact that we can't tell the future. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. But just because, you know, your party went till 2 in the morning doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, it was at its peak the whole time. There's going to be peaks and valleys throughout, but, you know, talk with us during the night too, and we can give you some advice on, hey, if it was me, I would go maybe an extra 30 minutes. You know, to me, a few more songs. I will give you very honest, we'll take it from an honest approach of kind of what we're seeing from our side of things too. So,
yeah. So hopefully you've learned some things on how to give you a best possible chance at a great dance floor and some advantages of ending on a high note. As always, comment, like, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're trying to hit that 100 subscriber mark so we can claim our URL. That's our next kind of goal. We need 100 subscribers. So make sure you do that, but let us know who you'd like to see on the show. We occasionally have guest bloggers that we sit down with. Any topics you'd like covered, we're happy to sit down and do those. So until next time, have a great one.
Thank you guys.